So here for the Force Unleashed reunion, hosted by Will of the Force. We got Tony here, wants to be nosy. And we got Lex. Hello, Lex.
Thanks for letting me use your stand.
No problem. Look at this guy. Oh my God, it's Will. Will of the Force.
Ladies, gentlemen, and droids alike, almost 2 decades ago, the men here to speak with you today were pivotal in creating a game we all love called The Force Unleashed. These icons have a list of Star Wars work that if I read it all, we'd be here till tomorrow, quite frankly. 2 men who would be first ballot selections if they ever made a Star Wars Hall of Fame. When the 16s are down, they walk from here. Please give it up for the voices of Proxy and the secret apprentice, Mr. David W. Collins and Mr. Sam WITWER. Is that from the Twitch stream? It is from the Twitch stream. Darth Vader's secret apprentice. That was This was us walking the streets of San Francisco. Sometime around the launch of the first game.
Yeah, that was our useful feedback. Oh, can we show you the theme? Sure, yeah, show it to us.
Yeah.
Oh, cool, let's go write some lyrics for it.
Yeah, that's right. Darth Vader's secret apprentice.
What is it?
Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here to talk about a game that this whole room loves and a whole lot of other Star Wars fans love, Force Unleashed 1 and 2. To kick off our reunion, our trip down memory lane, I'm actually going to give this to you, David. I would love for you to open this up. This is, I want you to see it first before Mr. WITWER.
I love that you introduced this with like, nearly 2 decades ago. And I'm like, no! What the?
Is that it? Is that it?
There are children.
Is that it? Because here's the thing. Here's the thing.
What's that?
We have a second one.
Oh no. How did you do this?
eBay is a magical place for Star Wars.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Here, let's reenact how I got into Force Unleashed. David, this is the pile of headshot resumes, okay?
Yeah.
This is the pile. And here, and just LucasArts. Here's the water cooler. You ready? Go. Oh, who should we audition? Let's audition this guy.
Which guy?
Sam WITWER.
Sam WITWER? Was he in Battlestar Galactica?
I don't know, but he kind of looks like a neo-Nazi. That's dangerous.
We switched. That is a historical interpretation, not quite exactly.
That's how that.
This sounds like Metal Gear and Mario put together.
You know, Mario wasn't actually sneaking around when he was down there. He was just smashing turds.
You're smashing turds.
Yeah.
Smashing turtles.
Smashing turds.
Gentlemen, when you guys look at that headshot, does that...
Don't look at that!
So we don't look at the headshot. Knowing that the headshot is staring you in the face next to you, does that transport you back to that time? I know you slipped that headshot in for the Force Unleashed and it changed the galaxy forever.
That's wow. Yeah, I mean, so the origin story is, I mean, so you want to tell this one, or I?
No, you can.
Okay. So Sam and I met in 2001 because my really good friend growing up went to Juilliard with Sam, and I had just started working at LucasArts. And he's like, hey, you should meet my buddy Sam. He's a huge Star Wars fan, really talented, really into Star Wars video games in particular. And Sam just we just called each other because he had just moved to LA, and I was working on, I think, Star Wars Jedi Starfighter or something like that. We just struck up this friendship, and for years we were kind of watching each other. We just became friends on the phone all the time, just chatting about video games. I mean, at one point he actually was like, "Hey, do you ever play Fallout 2? Do you ever play Medal of Honor, Allied Assault, I think it was?" I said, "No, I haven't played either of those." I was like, "Here." It was just and we're in our early 20s. We have no money, and he's like, "Here are my CD-ROMs." He just mails them to me to play. And I'm like, "Wow, who is this guy?" This is, it was just such a fast friendship. And so I remember I was working on Republic Commando, and I'm like, "Sam, read for this." He read for Scorch.
Read for Scorch of Republic Commando.
And then I was like, because I had started voice directing in 2004 or 2005, so I was directing video games in LucasArts. And then Battlefront 2 came out. I'm like, "Sam, read for Han Solo." Do you remember this?
I read for Han Solo.
You did? You did, yeah.
I think I didn't have the voice for it back then.
No, we can do
That's right.
But back then I was like, "Hey, I'm up here."
But also, voiceover, became a growing part of your life. Remember, anyway, it was just who the actors, you're trying to bring people in that I know are talented would be great. And then Amy Beth Christensen draws this picture of concept art for Darth Vader's Secret Apprentice. And I looked at it and I was like,
Dun, 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 dun.
But you had, before this, you had longer hair and
I shaved it off. And then she painted a picture of the dude with a shaved head. It looked very much like that. Not entirely she didn't make the facial features terribly specific, but it looked like that.
And so my boss, Apparel, who is, if you look him up, he's a legend in Star Wars video games and LucasArts adventure games. He was letting me voice direct. I had done Revenge of the Sith or something. And anyway, I didn't want to bother him yet again with, "Hey, I've got this actor that's really great." But then he comes to me and he's like, "Did you see that picture of that concept art of the Secret Apprentice?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "That looks like your buddy." And I said, "I know, right? That looks like my buddy." And he's like, "Yeah, do this. Give him a call and get his headshot resume and just get it. We'll slip it in the file."
We'll reenact it. I'm at my brother's rehearsal dinner for his wedding.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, ready? Ring,
And
ring.
my flip phone, by the way, flip phone.
Yeah. Ring, 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 ring. Sabakin! Sabakin!
Oh, hey, Tina.
Hey, yeah.
My brother's rehearsal dinner. I can't really talk right now.
You're where?
I'm at my brother's rehearsal dinner. I can't really talk.
Cool, you have a second?
Okay, what's going on?
Can you step outside just for a second?
Sure.
Just be a second,
I am now in a stairwell. Real story.
Yeah,
Real story.
yeah.
Stairwell.
So, just for a second. This is fall of 2006. No, 2006. Yeah.
I know, David. I'm in
Yeah.
the past right now.
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. I don't mean to give you today's date. Sorry about that. Really fast. Before you get back to your wedding, can you send, Darth Vader has a secret apprentice.
Oh, God! You fell down the stairs?
Yeah. Darth Vader has a secret apprentice, apparently. Revenge of the Sith is wrapped, and we're thinking about what's next in Star Wars. They come up with this character. Can you send me your headshot resume?
Well, Star Wars is done. What are you talking about?
No. Just don't worry about it. Don't tell anybody. Just send me your headshot resume.
Okay, fine. Why? Because it's a video game. Why would you need to know what it looked like?
It's not just voiceover.
What does that mean?
Just send me your headshot and resume, and we'll be in touch. Oh wait, who's your agent again?
I don't know.
Okay, all right. We'll just send it. We'll figure it out.
Okay. Bye.
Cool.
And I sent him to stop.
That was it. That was about right.
My whole thing with the audition, I go in and I see the concept art, and I'm like, oh, I guess, yes, that does actually look like me. And I saw a bunch of Lucasfilm people looking at me and looking at the concept art and looking at me. So I thought that was a good sign. But then there was the bad sign. The bad sign was this. The audition sides didn't really suggest a type of character. They were good, but some lines tell you what kind of guy you're playing. And some lines you can read them 50 different ways. So I said, guys, how do you want me to read this? I can read this. Who's this guy? I can read him 50 different ways. And the director goes, it must have been Dara.
It was Dara.
Yeah, and he goes, yeah, and Hayden. I felt like Hayden was there. Hayden, I think, said it was on tape. Was he there? I
thought he was there.
Yeah.
It was Matt Arnett, the art lead.
Matt was there. Yeah. And so, he said, yeah. I said, this could be read 50 different ways in terms of who this guy could be. And he said, go ahead, then read it 50 different ways. And I'm like, well, okay. And so a normal audition, you go in, you say, hi, how's it going? And maybe you act for 3 minutes or 4 minutes, and then you leave. I was acting for 45 minutes in that room, doing the scenes over and over and over and over again. And one in particular, there was a scene where Starkiller is meditating. He's meditating and he's assembling his force, assembling his lightsaber with the force. And when I was meditating, I did the scene different every time, different types of characters. But I started the scene the same every time, which was, I was like, my fist would, was white knuckling it, and I looked all tense when I was meditating like this, and my whole body was tense. And then I'd come out of it and I would do it differently. Eventually, it was either Dar or Hayden. I think it was Hayden. I feel like it was Hayden. He goes, Sam, you did it different every time, but I'm confused. You did the meditation part the same every time. You were really tense. I'm like, yeah. I was like, why? He's meditating. Why are you so tense in the meditation? And I said, he doesn't know how to do that. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, when would Vader have taught anyone how to meditate? That is not in his best interest. This guy's doing what he thinks meditation is, and he's trying to make the pieces go together. And I was started going off on this tangent, and I saw people behind the glass, Lucasfilm people go. And I was told by Hayden, because like that was when everyone was like,
that was it. Yeah, that was it.
He's a Sith, yeah.
You put a lot of thought into it, and that 45-minute audition, it was like an audition and a callback and a second callback and a screen test all in one.
Yeah.
And I was reading across from you because I was reading across from everyone that had auditioned, and there were some really good auditions, there were some really not good auditions. There was nothing like Sam's audition. It was like an instantaneous, like we had to go back and we had to show it to everybody and get what we all do. I remember calling you secretly in the cab out to the airport. I can't really talk right now, but.
Well, I was thinking, like, I hope I didn't embarrass my friend.
No.
All of his coworkers,
Oh my God. So then after that, no one believed that I knew you, which kind of worked to our advantage. They're like, he's amazing. You don't want to get back and get with yourself. It was pretty great. It was pretty great.
It makes like 8 attempts in your life in the original script. And I remember one of my favorite ones was this. This was cut from the, I believe we shot this. This was cut from the game. Proxy. At some point, dark room, and Proxy sets forward, and Starkiller is like tired, and he's like, oh, okay, Proxy, does it have to be right now? Okay, all right, what do you got? He's going for his lightsaber. Okay, what do you have? And walking out of the darkness is Anakin Skywalker. And Starkiller just goes, I don't know if I'm aware of this one. Well done, Proxy, okay. And he lights up his lightsaber, unaware that this is his master. This is Darth Vader. He has no idea. And at that point, me and David, and they were trying to shoot other things at the time, me and David are like, wait a second, let's talk this over. If Vader, listen to me. David, if Anakin Skywalker and his fighting style is programmed into this droid, and he was kept separate from Starkiller, that would seem that is a significant model that can only really mean that Vader built Proxy the same way he built 3PO. And then if he built Proxy, he would have had to train against all of the holographic Obi-Wans and different Jedi, blah, blah, which means he would have tested the Anakin program. Vader fought Anakin. And we're like, oh my God, Vader fought Anakin.
And then somebody in Dar's like,
Guys, keep it down.
We're shooting, shut up.
literally, we were like, okay, so you guys, seriously, we're gonna kick you out of the room. We're like, oh, we're sorry. Sorry, Dar. Sorry.
But did you think about the fact that Vader built Proxy and that he actually fought Anakin Skywalker?
Okay, we'll talk about it. That's happened.
But in the meantime, David, why don't you read Proxy? Can you just read Proxy?
Sure.
So
you want to read Leia too? So read Leia.
Yeah, read Leia too.
True story. I'll read Bale because we don't know if we're getting Jimmy Smith.
Bale, and I don't know if we have Jimmy Smith yet, but we did. But eventually, yeah. And so
Vader, I had to read Vader.
He did a great Vader. Fantastic Vader. But yeah, eventually what happened is that Proxy started making us all laugh a lot. And then there were all these whispers of like, do you think maybe it's just David? And then there were more talks of, do you think it's David? And then eventually people were going up to Hayden. Like, I remember going up to Hayden, and I was not the only one. People were now going up to Hayden Black from the team, going, do you think maybe it's just David? And eventually I went to Hayden, and my argument was this. I'm like, I know the people you want to hire, or the person you're targeting for Proxy. But can I be honest? You're just going to get that person into a studio, and then you're going to direct them to do what David has already done. So does that seem like a good expenditure of time? Does that seem wise? And then I also said, you know, Anthony Daniels was never supposed to be the voice of 3PO. He was on set, and he was delivering the performance, and he was creating the chemistry with Luke and, you know, R2-D2. But Lucas was always like, yeah, I'm going to get like Richard Dreyfuss or something. And eventually the voice actors that came in were like, you know, George, the actor that's in the suit actually sounds pretty bright. Like, no, Richard Dreyfuss stuff. And eventually George conceded that, like, this version of Anthony Daniels was 3PO. The same thing happened with Proxy. So I said that to Hayden, like, history is repeating itself. Just I mean, is it working? Well, yeah, it's gonna work. Well, then, why don't we keep it working? Instead of, we might really shoot ourselves in the foot if we go in any other direction.
Yeah, and at that point I was really glad that I called you at that wedding and pulled you out.
I just want to point that out there. Everyone can open, psychopath. Anyway,
I'm sorry, what was your question?
In terms of the characters that Proxy can turn into, I don't know if you guys have ever been asked this, but if Proxy was Maul and went up against Maul, who would make it out?
Maul, probably. Yeah.
Maul. Right? Was that?
But that could mean anything.
What's Maul?
No, that could mean anything. Well, they're both Maul, aren't they?
No, I mean, I think my understanding is that Proxy was, I mean, again, this is, you know,
A stretch of the imagination, but his skeleton would change size. And,
it would.
you
You
know,
saw how Proxy's skeleton shifted when he turned into Vader
Yeah.
to communicate with Starkiller, which is so cool.
But he's force pushing. There's got to be some sort of. I remember being like, there's repulsor tractor beam technology in this droid. It's very advanced. You know, Anakin, he's tractor beam. He had trackball in his bedroom, by the way.
Very expensive droid.
Yeah, he knows how to build droids. So yeah, this is a custom job that he probably spent way too much time tinkering on.
Thank you for indulging me in that.
But anyway, he pitched a lot of stuff, but like the idea of a secret apprentice, I think, was the one. You'd have to have Hayden, and that's the other thing. Is like Hayden would probably, if he was here, he'd be like, "That's not how I went, but that's how I remember it."
Yeah.
You know, I do remember at one point though, Proxy was a reverse cyborg. Do you remember this?
Yes, yes.
He was a cyborg. He was a robot that wanted to be more human, and he just kept adding human body parts, pieces.
Yeah.
And they were like, "That's too gross." I didn't know they got to, but there was concept art for it in the hallways.
Yes, and I used that in my Star Wars role-playing game. I created a character out of that for them, and they loved it.
Oh,
Very,
great.
very popular character. Speaking of gross, apparently, and you can straighten me out on this, they were all, having their sort of review with George, and George is looking at the Secret Apprentice and going, "Okay, so what's his name?" "Well, we don't really have a name for him. He has a code name, it's Starkiller." "How come he's not Darth something?" And they're like, well, he's not really a Sith. Why don't you, he's kind of icky, and he's just running around all crazy. Why don't you just call him like icky and insane?"
Icky insane. That's a true story. I wasn't there, but that was really true. However, the Starkiller point is really interesting. So we never called him Starkiller in development. He was always Darth Vader's Secret Apprentice, or he was Jacob before he came Galen Merrick. And I remember I was in the studio with Natalie recording her in-game dialogue, and she was like, I forgot her code name. Something, to Starkiller. I always remember her code, Starkiller. Are you there? Have you reached the construction facility, whatever. And I was like, oh, that's clever. They're using Starkiller as his code name on the radio. That's cool. And then the game came out, and everything was Starkiller. And I was like, oh, in the absence of information, that name is active. But when I said that, Hayden's like, that's not how it happened. But I don't remember ever seeing the name Starkiller in the original script or knowing that it was going to be Starkiller, but when the in-game script came
Yeah, you're right.
you referred to as Starkiller because you had to be referred to as something.
It was
this
never,
is Juno to Darth Vader's
it
secret.
flips the Starkiller. Yeah, no, it was never, the word Starkiller never appeared in the original script. It was in the in-game script.
Yeah, so, and Clint Young said, you know, to me, he was an artist on it. He said to me, he was just here, or was going on Saturday.
So there's a thing, there's a big moment in there, and it's absolutely them completing the wish fulfillment of this other project that they were thinking they were going to do for a second before we moved on to Shadow. So we've been working together for like 18 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny too, you know, we've been friends for a long time. We talk every week, sometimes every day,
Yes.
you know, and Sam is an incredible friend to have and has been. And, you know, navigating this business, you know, and having a sounding board to bounce off of, you know, when I was at Sony, the Days Gone casting was happening, and I removed myself from the process, you know, because I knew him, but they came up to me and they were like, you know Sam, right? And I said, yeah. And I was like, you know, he's an incredible collaborator, you know, and you know, the subject's being, you know, you should listen, you should take his advice, because I've been taking it for, oh gosh, 24 years, something like that, we've been friends. And you know, it's been really, really, really great. Not just in the business, but just, you know, personally, you know, having a buddy that totally gets it, and you get to work with them. It's like making Star Wars with your friends, you know. And so that way, Force Unleashed and Shadow Lord are very personal projects, because it does. It feels like you're creating, you know, with your friends.
And these projects are so collaborative over there that, you know, there is a lot of heart that they allow people to put into it. Some projects, it's like, look, say your lines, actor.
Hit this mark.
Right, and I need you to make it sound like this, and blah, blah, blah. People generally, you know, just kind of stay within the bounds of their job description very strictly. The Lucasfilm stuff hasn't been like that. You know, this guy is throwing all kinds of crazy stuff at the Shadow Lord that people did not ask him to do, but when they witnessed it, they were like, or they heard it, they were like, oh, that's great, keep going, that's fantastic. You know, because it's someone else contributing something that you'd never think of, right? You know, or again, with Starkiller or Maul or whatever, they've always invited me to be like, well, what do you think? What's your take on this? So it's a wonderful thing about Lucasfilm. It's extremely collaborative. Always really.
And a real testament to Lucasfilm Animation, which is a studio that George built. And they have an incredible pipeline and work process that's been successful for 20 years. We just celebrated the 20th anniversary. You know, because I did a play with him, and his consonants are just. I had a teacher that was like, consonants are the best defense against any orchestra. This is a business. Anyway. But yeah, the Lucasfilm animation stuff. I remember seeing a Force Repulse when Savage Press did it, and it was framed and animated just like it was like Force Unleashed. And that's really Dave Filoni. He's incredibly collaborative. I mean, if you read The Courtship of Princess Leia in 1994 or 95, you know, and you learned about Dathomir and the Night Sisters, and he brings it in. I remember when they were trying that Trandoshan episode, they called me and asked for my Republic Commando shotgun sound, so they could incorporate the Trandoshan Slayer shotgun into the episode with Chewbacca. Like he's wonderful in that way. And
Yeah, like after, you know, the Clone Wars finale, you have Maul fighting against Ahsoka, and Maul is trying actually not to kill her the whole time. I mean, like, trying to get you to save the galaxy with me here, and it's, you know, a fight, he doesn't know how to fight. But then the dark side takes over, Order 66 happens, and now Maul has no weapon. But I think it was very much on purpose that Dave had Maul going full Force Unleashed on our Troopers. You know, all of his moves and taking people and throwing them and all this stuff like.
Well, and quite literally, I remember I was at LucasArts and I got a call from the casting assistant that was like, hey, Dave wants 2 of your cast members from Force Unleashed and Clone Wars. Can you give me the numbers of, and the agent's contact info for Adrian Wilkinson and, hold on, I have it here. Sam WITWER? And I said, yeah, of course I can. And immediately, like, hold on, shoot you an email, you know. And they ended up becoming, you know, part of the Mortis arc, you know, the Gods arc, Adrian and Sam, which was really kind of a precursor to Maul, which that phone call came.
Yeah, the Maul thing happened because of Mortis, and Mortis happened because of Force Unleashed. So, you know, I pretty much owe this guy everything, basically, right there.
Thank you, David.
Sam is in Star Wars because Sam is brilliant.
Yeah, that game. We talk about campfires a lot in some interviews.
Yeah.
It's one of our favorite campfire stories. How do you view the legacy of that game?
The fact that I have every week since I did the Force Unleashed, the fact that every week someone's asking me about it, sometimes every day or every other day, that's great. I like that, and because I think it was a worthy campfire story. I think Nathan wrote a fantastic, beautiful story. And I always say this thing about Star Wars: it's campfires, right? Like when people want this book to line up with this video game or this television show, I get that impulse. But Dave actually taught me this. There was a Maul thing that I was doing that wasn't part of the Clone Wars. It was, I think it was for an audiobook. And there was something that was not consistent with something we did in Clone Wars. And I got a hold of Dave, and Dave is like, well, that's good. I'm like, it's not. It's going to be confusing, and blah, blah. I'm doing it. So shouldn't I ask them to change it? And he's like, no, don't ask them to change it. Over in that world, that's how it happened. Over in this world, it's the way we did it. You know, and I was like, oh, that's, you know, and sort of realizing, you know, the same tall tale told in 3 different campfires is going to go 3 different ways depending on the storyteller. You know, what did George Lucas say about Star Wars? He's like, yeah, Star Wars is ultimately, you know, told through the point of view of R2-D2, because in those stories, R2-D2 is saving everything. Oh, yeah. So that's R2-D2. He's going to go nowhere without it. So that's, you know, it's the fun of Star Wars is that Force Unleashed, in that world, all of the Force users are ranked to 11. It's not just Starkiller. Castle brought us this whole world where he's using the Force to construct a Jedi temple and droids and all this stuff. Shock T controls a giant, you know, Sarlacc pit. Vader's tearing walls down, and all kinds of crazy stuff is happening.
Destroying Wookiee villages.
Destroying Wookiee villages and not suspension bridges and bouncing people. But it's, you know, in that world, that's the way that the Force works. But if you were to tell that at a different campfire, where it's a little bit more like what you see in the films, it would go differently. Like maybe Starkiller didn't pull the Star Destroyer down with a sheer force of will, size matter means nothing, tear it out of the sky. Maybe that's one campfire. Another campfire is like, Starkiller, tear it out of the sky. And he's like, you got it. And he goes like that, and suddenly the pilot on the Star Destroyer is like, and he pushes down on the throttle, you know, because that's what I would do. Be like, pull on the Star Destroyer, be like, mind trick the pilot. Woo! But it's, you know, again, those details. Does Ahsoka have a blue lightsaber or a green lightsaber at the Siege of Mandalore? It depends on the view. The costumes, if Republic commandos running around.
Yeah, and so he was really like this beacon of hope that was like, you know, telling me you gotta come. And that's why I started doing celebrations, because, and another thing, I wish the rest of the team could see it, because that game is the product of 100 souls working their tails off to try and make something special. You know, they all of these creative endeavors are. There's so much passion, you know, and shout out to the LucasArts team of Force Unleashed and everyone on that team. Many of whom, you know, have moved on, but some are still going at ILM and Skywalker Salad, and you know, we're lucky to have been part of that special project.
David, in a behind-the-scenes featurette, there's a quote that I very much enjoy from you. You say, when you place these characters into the saga, they are so pivotal that you can't imagine the saga without them. I agree, but also for both of you, you are so pivotal that we cannot think of the saga without you. So thank you so much. And guys, Sam WITWER and David Clark. Thanks for Thank you.
We have
we throw your hands